Hi guys, it's me. I'm back with the World War II videos. Now we only have 15 minutes with these for each of the videos, so I'm not going to do a whole long introduction, but this is the one for the European theater. So the war in Europe really starts in 1939. Hitler is already taking control of Germany, and he's already taken over Austria without a shot, taken over Czechoslovakia, and now he's pushing east. He had that non-aggression pact with Stalin that they wouldn't invade Poland. However, in 1939, Hitler has this policy called Lebensraum, which means living space for Germans. What this is going to entail is basically taking over Poland and getting rid of the population um, to make for German settlers so they can farm for Germany. He's going to use blitzkrieg, so all at one time his bombers are coming in and blowing up the Polish armed forces, and then here comes in the tanks and the infantry all at one time. Poland really doesn't stand a chance. So in response to this, Stalin is actually going to invade the other half of Poland because he knows that now they're going to have to fight against Germany, and he wants to fight them in Poland, not necessarily in Russia if they can help it. All right, so some more pictures of the Nazis moving into not Belgium. They'll do that later. Poland. All right. France, how did they get into this thing? How did Britain get into this thing? Almost everybody has pledged to assist Poland in case of an invasion because they are between Germany and the Soviet Union. They know they're going to be fought after one time. Now with France, what they've done is that they've barricaded themselves. They've dug those fortifications. This time they've really created a strong defensive fortification between them and Germany called the Maginot Line. So Germany is going to fake like they're going to invade across that land. It would kind of be a stupid thing to do. So they go right back through the back door again, invade through Belgium, and 1940, Hitler's standing at the base of the Eiffel Tower. France essentially surrenders. There is going to be a leader of the exiled Free French forces. He'll become the prime minister later. That's Charles de Gaulle. The southern half of France is actually going to install a pro-Nazi government. At the same time, Germany is going to start to soften up Britain, trying to get them ready in case they need to invade. So they start bombing London round the clock in the Blitz. Right? The Luftwaffe is going to control the night and then try to get the day. The Battle of Britain goes in Britain's favor. Right? Radar is going to help turn the tide. Royal Air Force pilots, British, French, Polish. Actually, one of the best units in the Battle of Britain is going to be a Polish fighter squadron. Are going to turn the tide. They can see where the Germans are coming across the channel, and they can be there waiting for them. Right, 1941, the Germans are going to use this Operation Barbarossa and invade the Soviet Union by surprise. The Soviets are going to retreat and burn everything between them and the Germans, and burn their own stuff to make sure the Germans don't have anything to use against them. At the same time, FDR is really looking at this. He knows that the United States is probably going to get into war sometime soon, but he doesn't want us actually fighting at the time. He is going to give this very eloquent For Freedom speech. And it's also going to inspire some artwork later by a guy named Norman Rockwell. But the four freedoms he lists out there is everybody in the world should be free to express themselves, should be free to worship their religion, should be free from want. Right? They shouldn't be poor, and freedom from fear of these totalitarian dictators. So because of that, even though we're not technically in the war, he's going to get Congress to pass the Lend-Lease Act. We've been over in class before, but talks about that the neighbor's house is on fire and we don't want $15. We just want them to be safe because their safety matters to us. If Hitler takes over Britain, there's nothing standing between him and us other than a big, big block of water. And so we start giving the Allies massive aid. Most of it is going to be to Britain, but we are sending a lot to the Soviet Union as well. We want to become the arsenal of democracy, where they're going to be able to come here and get all of the material for the war. This is a picture of an M4 Sherman tank. It's not the best made tank out there. It's lightly armored, but we can make tons of these. We are finally going to get into war December 7th, 1941, not because of Europe, but out in the Pacific with Japan with Pearl Harbor. So let's get into after the war, after we're in there. This is actually dealing with the Soviet Union. They're the ones actually turning the tide. Excuse me. The Germans are going to invade, trying to capture Moscow, which is right in here. They also want some oil to keep their war machine going. They need oil in this area for the Soviet Union. So they're pushing, they're doing really good, but then in December, take a look here, December 1941. That is when the Russian winter catches up to them. Soviets counterattack, and then Germany is going to push, right, to try to capture this oil behind Stalingrad. At the Volga River, they are meeting stiff resistance at Stalingrad. The Russians are not going to give that place up easily. One, because they know the oil fields in the Caucasus region. If the Germans get that, essentially the war is over for them. Again, this is Stalingrad, Stalin's town. The town was named after Stalin. He's an interesting character. Stalin is not actually his last name. It's a name he takes on, which means man of steel. So he's not letting this town go. It's the last stand for the Soviet Union, so some Soviet troops are sent into battle without weapons. When they cross the Volga River, they're put in lines. One person gets a gun, another person gets the ammunition. First person gets shot, the other person picks up the gun or the ammunition, puts it in there, and sends them out there. Now they're going to hug the Germans, keeping them close so that any bombardment the Germans do are going to kill Germans as well. And then finally, in 1942, the German Sixth Army is going to be destroyed. So after that, here goes Stalingrad. You see the Germans start retreating, and it's going to be a big race back to Berlin. Alright, so that's what's going over there on the Eastern Front. Where the United States comes in is on the Southern and then the North African fronts. And Germany has also invaded North Africa, trying to push into Egypt in the Middle East, where the British have their oil reserves. These are the two guys facing off primarily. This is the German, Erwin Rommel, known as the Desert Fox. And this is Monty, right, the British commander. He actually names his dog, just kind of as an insult to Rommel. He names his dog Rommel. So this is fighting right along in Egypt. There's a battle called El Alamein where the Americans and the British are going to push Erwin Rommel back. But we gain North Africa. We retake North Africa, which gives us a beachhead, and we get a general out of North Africa. A very good general. Makes great speeches, although I can never play one in school because, yeah, he's a general. He doesn't mince words. A lot of the times he's talking about the Germans are going to grease the wheels or the tracks of our tanks. Right? That's what he really means. We're going to crush the Germans underneath the tank tracks, quite literally. But he is a great tank commander. Right? And we're going to open up a front in Europe, the soft underbelly of Europe. Nobody really respects Italy's military forces in the war, so that's where we're going to hit. We know Germany is a tough task, so we're going to hit at the soft underbelly. We're going to invade Italy. In 1943, Italy is going to give up. They kill their dictator, Benito Mussolini, and they hang him upside down from a telephone post. So we have captured Italy. They switch sides, so they're going to be helping us out the rest of the war. One of the big things we have to do is to protect our supply line. We know we have Germany on the ropes if we can protect our supply lines. And Germany's doing a good job of hitting them with their U-boats. So we want to change our tactics up. We're going to create a convoy system. Any of these material boats, any of these transport ships that are transporting tanks, planes, ammunition, we're going to start guarding with destroyers and boats that can blow up these submarines. And once we start doing that in 1942, you can take a look at how quickly those numbers go down. The other thing that's happened is we've cracked the German code. The Polish have cracked the Enigma code and get into the British, who pass it along to us. We know where the German subs are going to be. Alright, to soften up Germany for an invasion, we've got to bomb, we've got to take out their factories and oil refineries. And really, one of the big things we need to do is we need to bomb their ball bearing plants. Ball bearings are these small roll balls that basically are going to, anything mechanical like those plane engines require these ball bearings so that they slide easily along them. We can take that out. We can take out their tanks. We can take out their planes. They can't make anything without them. So we start bombing these factories, and the thing here is to remember that World War II is not smart bombs. These are dumb bombs being dropped out of those planes. You can kind of aim them, but only so much. So there can be a lot of damage to cities, and sometimes we are actually going to be bombing these cities themselves to burn them down. Probably the most well-known case is Dresden. We're burning that to the ground. There's going to be a lot of civilians killed here. They are now part of the war. And this is pictures of Dresden after the bombing. In fact, Churchill, the Prime Minister of England, is going to plead FDR to stop bombings because he feels like it's too much. But the day has come. We're invading and taking back Europe. So we're leading up to D-Day. Now on this map, which one of these areas would you invade? A lot of people say C because it's the closest. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to come further down to B. And the reason why is we're expecting an invasion here. In fact, the United States and Britain are putting fake armies. We're painting things. We have balloon tanks over here to make the Germans keep their forces here, while we're going to invade down here at Normandy. The person in command at Normandy is this guy, Dwight D. Eisenhower. He's going to be important because he's going to be a president later. So D-Day, the largest amphibious invasion in history up to that point, only going to be, well, it will be, Okinawa is probably going to be bigger, but it's a longer battle. Crossing the channel, and then this is the most iconic scene of it. Our troops getting off of these boats, and as soon as they get off these boats, they're taking machine gun fire from these hills up here, and they've got to fight inch by inch up there, clear the beach, because this is what we're going to be after, right here. If we can set up that beach, boats can come in, drop their tanks, drop their trucks, and then leave and go back to Britain and keep it going. Once we have that, we have the Germans. We've got them in a three-way vice, and there's nothing they can do but fall back past the Siegfried line. The Siegfried line is basically Germany. Once we've done that, we've got them where we want them. Right. Closing from the west, pushing towards Germany. There's one last battle, real battle, called Battle of the Bulge. I explain it like a rubber band. Right. The Germans know that they can't hold the British and the Americans back anymore, so they put their best troops in one little area. And they try to push as hard as they can to snap the rubber band to break the British and American line. It's a gamble, because if they're not strong enough, that rubber band's going to snap back on them, which is what they do. But for us, it's kind of out of the blue. It's during the winter in 1944. We're in the snow, and all of a sudden here comes German tanks. We thought they were retreating. They're now advancing. The Soviets are closing from the east, and they're actually going to get to Berlin before we do. But we're going to meet racing towards Berlin. The Soviets get to the Reichstag. They raise their flag over top of it. We kind of allow them to do that because they have sacrificed many more. Hitler commits suicide. There is a conspiracy theory whether he did or not. We'll cover that at a later time. Yes, he did commit suicide. They have the DNA evidence. They have basically his skull fragments, and he's dead. And the war in Europe's over, and we're done under 15 minutes. That is amazing. Well, we'll see if we can do the Pacific in one under 15 minutes as well.